This cemetery is one of the oldest in all of Europe. Around the year 1100, this was known as the land of Croatia. And if I were going to tell these people the troubles and problems that they would see over the next 1,000 years here, I don't know if they would believe me. There have been traces of Neolithic settlements here for over 2,000 years. In fact, there's even mentions of it in old Roman writings dating back to around 100 AD. There were also several Greek writers that referred to it as the city of Rijeka around that same period. But in the year 600 AD, much of this was taken over by the Roman Empire. It was the beginning of a huge change for the region, from being settlements to being a really truly well built up place. When the Romans took over, this was incorporated into the region of Dalmatia. This became a province of the Imperials, and it stayed that way for hundreds of years until there was a huge uprising by the people to reclaim their land. But the troubles and the things that were going to happen here over the next many hundreds of years just did not stop. Around the year 800, the Frankish troops of Charlemagne came here to conquer and destroy the place. And they did a good job. They tore apart the castle, Trussat, which sits atop the city of Rijeka, and much of the inhabitants here became under their rule. This occupation lasted 225 years until it was retaken and became again the land of Croatia. The people of this area, the Croatians, decided to join and become part of the Hungarian Empire. Then, over 100 years later, in the 1225, something like that time period, this region became one of the first to have written laws for their citizens. This became one of the first written laws in all of Europe. For around 150 years, this place was then ruled by noble families until it was sold. It was purchased by the Duke of Austria, and for the next 450 years, it remained under their rule. I think it's worth noting that this place was so important during that time period that it even rivaled the city of Venice in Italy. And unfortunately, that made the people of Venice uncomfortable. It became somewhat of a rival. Around the year 1500, the Venetian people decided that that was enough. They brought a huge army here and killed a huge part of the population, devastated the land, hoping that these people would no longer be a threat to them and that they would have full control over the Adriatic Sea. It was nicknamed the Loyal City because they would not give up here. The Austrian Empire gave them that nickname, and no matter how devastating the blow, how many lives were lost, they continued to fight. For the next 10, 15 years, even the Ottoman Empire was coming over here, fighting with troops, but never once did they occupy it. These people were stubborn, and they would not give up their land. About 100 years passed, and things in the region really started to cool down. For the next 100 years, after all of that fighting, they began to live more or less in peace. And at some point, they even started to trade with the people, with the Venetians, opening up commerce and bringing money and interest into this general area. After all the trouble they had been through, They finally reached a time period where things were going really well for them. They had open trade, but guess what? 30 years later, in the year 1750, it was hit by a huge earthquake that destroyed everything. So they had to rebuild from the base up. It's almost as if they weren't being attacked by all these other countries or having internal problems within their own Austrian Empire, as soon as they kind of figured it out, boom, devastation from nature. As they rebuilt the city, they started to build outside of the stone walls. It used to be more or less a small village on the coast, but now it was expanding. Unfortunately, not long after that came the Napoleonic Wars. And believe it or not, France made its way all the way over here to conquer and destroy. It was then again occupied for 4 years until the Royal Navy came in, bombarded the place, and it was again conquered by the Austrian Empire. A funny note, there was a girl that there's a tale, a story, that she single-handedly saved the city. During this period of bombardment, when everything was being destroyed, it said that she, Carolina Belinic, went to the head officer, the general, and convinced him that that was enough and that they didn't need to continue destroying the city. The damage had been done. Finally, 40 years later, around the year 1848, the Hungarian Empire decided that was enough, and the Croatian people took back their land. This time period, from the late 1800s and early 1900s, became one of the very best for the region. You can see a lot of the markers behind us, the dates. That's when much of this was built. Some of it, the smaller regions, within the 40, 50 years before that, but the big monuments and the growth of the city. And it was probably one of the best times in history to live here in Croatia. Unfortunately, World War II started, and that changed everything for this part of the world. You see, before the war, this place was a very rich, well-to-do, tolerant of peoples and religions, and historians would say it was quite a gem. You know, during this time period, there was really only 50,000 or so inhabitants of the city. Around half of them were Italian speaking, but there was also French, German, Hungarian, and at least 6, 7 other languages that were spoken commonly. It's notable that during this time period, around 30% of the Croatian people were speaking Croatian. Around the year 1943, this land was taken over by the Allies. The Italians had surrendered, but the Germans were not happy about it, and as a punishment to their resistance, they killed 263 people in a town right next door to here. It should also be noted that during the occupation, the Italians and the Germans took anybody that was in opposition to their fight. Most of them ended up going to Auschwitz. So, and I'm really just giving the highlights of what happened. There's a lot more details in between. I'm sure some of you know much more about the periods during the 1300s and 1500s with the Austrian Empire, and then again also during World War I, all of that. You might be thinking, okay, after World War II, like a lot of the world, countries started to divide and split and take on their own sovereign territories. Well, unfortunately for this place, in came the Yugoslavian troops in the year 1945, took over, destroyed it again, and that began the period that we're mostly familiar with up until the early 90s, where this was actually part of the countries today that are Montenegro, Kosovo, Bosnia, Albania, the whole region. I personally have never really been to a cemetery like this one. I come from a part of the world where everything is relatively new. It doesn't have 1,000 years worth of history, and it certainly hasn't been conquered over and over and over. It could be one of the reasons that I like them so much here. They are truly kind. I've felt at home the entire time I've been in Croatia. It's lovely. The people are cool. It's beautiful and clean. It just happens to be in an area that a lot of people want to control. I used good sources for what I'm sharing with you. But I also feel like a lot of you can maybe fill in some of the gaps in some of the most important history that happened here in Croatia during the last 1,000 years. It's a place that's very unknown to a lot of the people where I live. It would be helpful for them to know. I think it'd be a great place for them to come and visit, to learn about the history, the people. It's a wonderful place just to explore and to travel. I'll get more confident and better with sharing facts and interesting things that I learned about the different places that I'm traveling. In 1991, the state of Croatia took its independence. It would no longer be a part of Yugoslavia. It's given the people an opportunity to create a country of their own, protected now by the European Union, and to grow, expand, start trade more and more, and to incorporate tourism and allow people to come and visit this beautiful country and explore its ancient history, lovely gardens. Come on, it's as green as can be here. I'm sure you've heard the birds singing throughout the video. They're everywhere here. The lower part down here, they have newer tombstones. In fact, you can see this one here is 2024. So they're still using the cemetery, even though it's ancient, actually. You can see it says 1921, right next to 2002. And this family plot goes all the way from 1915 to 2006. Like, the last name was born after the first name had already passed. I just wanted to share this very unique and interesting cemetery with you while I was here. I happened upon it by mistake. It's about a 15-20 minute walk from where I'm staying, and I believe there's a great view of the city from here. Your comments are appreciated. I think that as much as we can do to share the history of what happened here, to help explain why the people of Croatia have been through so much trouble and how things have really made a huge turn in their economy and how things function, especially the last 10, 15, 20 years. That's important for the world to know. Cemeteries like this are a great way to kind of walk through the past and into the future. So, thanks. Wishing you a great day, and I will try to get better at doing this documentary style of stuff. It makes me a little bit nervous, but because I don't want to get the facts wrong. And if I did make a mistake or I said something wrong, let me know. Let me know. I'll be glad to correct it as best as I can, okay?